Hello and welcome to the weekend edition. I'm Dr. Kingori. We have a great show lined up for you. Our guest tonight is a sitting member of parliament for Embakasi East constituency. Honorable Babu Owino is in the house. Thank you very much. Before we get to that part of the show, though, the long-awaited match between Gor Mahia and Everton happened this week, and the KPL Stars lost 4-0. All Kenyans were shocked except for their patron, Baba. And that's because it's not the first time for him to witness Kenyans getting a thorough beating. He was there for all the Shisha Mandis. He was there when Magaret Langata aliinuliwa kama bei ya mafuta. Baba was also there when Miguna was Evertoned. Now, in fact, the Everton versus Gor Mahia match, to Baba, that was like a deja vu. Not very long ago, during the Shisha Mondays, Baba witnessed men in blue beating a member of the Green Army. You see, the kind of beating, kama watu wa Red Sun, ndio ilikuwa tu makofi na they gave feedback. See, hiyo kuchapwa na umenyamaza, saying nothing, that's some serious beating. Now, before leaving for the match, Baba, there's a video of Baba. He was giving advice for Gor Mahia players. The clip went viral.
This fellow here are being like you. Unambili, unambili.
That was quick math. 2 plus 2 is 4. After the match is when I understood what Baba actually meant. And as always, Baba was so close to getting it right. Everton hawakuwa na tatu. Zote nne zilikuwa zao. And elsewhere, Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waitito has urged alcohol addicts in his county to buy TVs for their wives to minimize domestic quarrels. Ati television sets keep women in good moods. I love to see how that works. Yeah, unajua mke wangu amenizoea na kelele. Lakini jana nilikuja nimewezekana akaanza kelele. Na kuambia nilimchomolea 14 inch. Hapo ndio heshima iliingilia. And the governor is forgetting that this could work against him. You know, vile hao watu hawana TV, it means they may not have proof that it's him who asked for rivers to be moved. This sounds like the rephrasing of the issue of moving of rivers. Instead of telling people to stop drinking, Mheshimiwa is offering them means to get away with it. Or could he be offering himself as a scapegoat ya kublemiwa? Think about it. If the people buy TVs, alafu watoto wakutane na zile vitu Waitito usema kwa TV. Si kweli wataona baba yao ndio mlevi, si? Think about it. And now, in other news, this past Sunday, our Deputy President William Ruto allegedly paid 100,000 shillings for a cup of tea and chapati in Kakamega. This is coming barely a week after President Uhuru procured a bunch of bananas from a hawker at 3,000 shillings. With this type of spending, how will the government convince farmers that they can only afford 2,300 shillings for a 90-kilogram bag of maize? You do realize, ini kama kuona mtu akona deni yako akitembea na toothpick. Ati, bado nakumbuka. That's hypocritical. Now, that's food for thought. No pun intended. Now, last month, the Daily Nation ran a headline, "How MCAs are stealing public funds." Now, here's a clip to support these claims.
According to the report delivered to the Senate Public Accounts Committee, the MCAs spent 16 million shillings on a trip to Uganda to discuss devolution matters. Never mind that Uganda does not have a devolved government. The MCAs also spent a further 23 million shillings on a trip to Israel to study the best agricultural practices for implementation. That's not all. They also went to Singapore on an 18 million shillings budget to attend a workshop on integrated infrastructural development. That trip was sponsored by a school and only 10 MCAs were invited, but all the 50 of them were paid per diems for the travel.
Uganda was never a point of reference when it comes to drafting the articles relating to devolution. Uganda was never. So why go to a country which
has no devolution?
Has no devolution. It was never a point of reference for devolution.
At that time, the clerk could just tell us, all members bring your passports, there is an international trip. So he was not telling us the invitation letter, and if you tend to ask the invitation letter, you'll be left behind.
That's the most weird argument I've ever had. Now, according to the Auditor General's report in that article, Kenya loses hundreds of millions in the allowances and bogus benchmarking trips, like the case of Elgeyo Marakwet, where MCA spent 5 million shillings to travel to Congo to learn about athletics. Rift Valley is the home of champions. How do you leave the likes of Ezekiel Kemboi and David Rudisha to travel out of the country to go and consult about athletics from Kofi Olomide and Awilo Longo? That's like asking for marriage advice from Vera Sidika. Very simple. Okay, then let's say you have to consult about athletics and it must be from a Congolese. Si mungeongea na Papa Denis. Na vile muziki na mtoa mbio. Now, the amount of money these benchmarking trips cost the taxpayer is depressing. And according to the report, much of the money has not been accounted for. In fact, the same article I mentioned has cases like Nyandarua where the same MCAs were paid allowances for 2 separate meetings happening at the same time in 2 different parts of the country. Like wako Nyandarua na at the same time, the same MCAs wako Naivasha. I think I just have the right idea where the MCAs could have borrowed this concept.
Hey you guys, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and America, so I'm having fun today.
See, that was very, very brilliant. That is genius. It would be unfair to say that MCAs are the only leaders who have been accused of overburdening the taxpayer with overseas trips. A group of Kenyan MPs were recently on the spot for skipping a Harambee Stars match hapa Kasarani, yet they spent millions to go watch the World Cup in Russia. Basically, almost every Kenyan seems to be excited to leave the country for whatever reason, except Miguna. But for MCAs are too much. So that you get the idea of how much these people are fixed on wasting money. Among the top destinations Kenyan leaders visit is India. What are you going to do in India that you cannot see in Parklands? Furthermore, this has to be the highest level of hypocrisy. An MCA would die for a trip to India. But have a look at a brief exposure of a Kenyan MCA to an Indian spice.
How can you be a speaker? Na unawekea MCA wako mapiripiri kwa macho. Ameniwekea nini? Hii piripiri kwa macho. Never. Sio ni criminal.
Now, India kuna pilipili kila mahali. What makes you think you can survive there kama pilipili moja inakutoa wazimu hivi? Now, according to an article that ran in The Star, in 2014, 8 countries have banned Kenyan MCAs from visiting, among them USA, Malaysia, and Rwanda. Rwanda banned Kenyan MCAs from visiting the country. Imagine that. This must have something to do with the proposal by Governor Sonko to fly out 300 makangas, hawkers, and Nduthi guys to Rwanda on a benchmarking trip. That trip never happened. Actually, the trip never happened, and the rumor has it that it never happened because of trust issues. How do you convince watu wa Nduthi ati wanaitwa na kanjo? Ati waende City Hall wakapewe briefing? The same kanjo wenye walisema watu wa Nduthi wasikanyange tao. Kwani mnatubeba wajinga aje? Mnaonaga kama ndani ya hii helmet haina kichwa? Kama Sonko wako serious, na hiyo trip, atupe fair hiyo briefing tufanyiwe City Hall, Kigali branch. Now, as much as the Rwanda has banned Kenyan MCAs from visiting, MCAs can still visit disguised as Nduthi guys. Now, even Kenyans will never tell the difference from that. Now, the obsession with finding any excuse to travel out of the country by our leaders can support the theory that some of our leaders were raised out of the country. Because no Kenyan child hajawahi katazwa kwenda kwa wenyewe. Ati wachogona huyu mtoto wako ni kama atakuwa MCA. Hata ukimwekea chakula lazima aende akulie kwa wenyewe. Now, I don't mean to say that benchmarking offers no value to Kenyans. Maybe our approach is wrong. Our guest tonight is one of the most vocal MPs in Kenya. Honorable Babu Owino joins us after this short commercial break to break this down even further. See you in a bit. Welcome back to the Weekend Edition. I'm Dr. Kingori. The subject on our show tonight is benchmarking, and our guest is the only leader brave enough to come talk about that. The rest wanaogopa my MCA. Babu Owino is in the house. Karibu sana kwa show.
Sawa.
Subject yetu ya leo ni benchmarking, but before tuingie kwa benchmarking, nilikutana na story yako moja ikanishanga. You are the only self-confessed mse anakunywa changa at this age, and you have a very interesting story behind it.
This idea of changa is not news to me, because that is what brought me up, and I used to sell it at a very tender age. From primary, I used to onja kidogo, because you see, you cannot sell what you don't test. Sinukweli. So, you know, changa was like a daily meal for us, because that is what was bringing food on the table. If we didn't sell it, I would not afford school fee. If we didn't sell it, I would not get meals for my day.
So wewe uangalia certificates zako unaona changa zini. That's where if you want to ukiambia mtu you're doing well in life anasema ni gold. Wewe usema ni?
Of course, every other thing God has a plan. In the Bible, in Jeremiah 11, God said that he told Jeremiah that he saw him in his mother's womb, and he had plans for him. He had plans for him, plans for prosperity and not for destruction. So it is God first, then any other thing can follow. But God uses different people to achieve different things. In the Bible, in a murderer, who is Moses, God saw a person who could deliver the Israelites from the bondage. In a shepherd, who is King David, he saw a king. In a stammerer, who is still Moses, he saw a person who could deliver the Israelites. So God can use different ways to make a person achieve the goals and his goals also.
So that's how people comfort themselves in parliament.
It's not about comforting
kama
yourself.
Ujui kizungu unasema Moses was a stammerer. Kama ujui
is not about comforting yourself, but yes, that is how it is, and it is what it is. So by the end of the day, if you relate these stories, the biblical stories, the current stories, the historical stories, you come up with an amalgamation of what can lead you into success.
Sasa amalgamation.
So it's not about comforting yourself actually, yes, but this is the reality. If I look at my certificate, I see how far I've come from. I'm a person who got, who really passed at the primary level, 400 marks out of 500, 401. At high school, A-. At A levels, that's from 5 and 6, I got distinction. I did my first degree in actuarial science, got first class honors. Did my second degree in law. Have masters in actuarial science, and now I'm taking my masters in law. So 4 degrees. So by the end of the day, even if I look at my certificates and see changa, then I'm a proud person who was selling changa. But at least having achieved all that, I can proudly say that it is not where we came from. It is where we are going that matters.
That's a very, very articulate speech, which begs the question, 400 marks, primary school, A-, distinction, na hizo vitu zote, alafu ukimaliza ni TBIM. How do you balance? How do you balance between such personalities? On a side vile, you are composed, distinction, 4 degrees, unapiana speech kama Malcolm X. But then, mtu akikupata kwa rally, it's someone else. Is that the nature of our politics? Okay.
I think everything that we do in life has its own rules. So politics has its own rules. When you come to the normal social life, it has its own rules. For example, I cannot go in my house and start saying TBIM, because even my kids will start wondering if daddy is really normal or not. But at least because TBIM was a national slogan that was even used by a national coalition that won elections in the last in 2017 elections, I'm a proud person that I can proudly say that having come up with TBIM and having been recited by almost all the Kenyans, because it was being recited by people who loved it and by people who hated it. Either way, they were saying TBIM. At least I can say that I had some influence in the minds of the people. And TBIM alone, you know, there are certain constituencies that if you didn't say TBIM, then you could not get votes. And again, if you didn't fight TBIM, you could not get votes. So either way, TBIM was the password to either the county assembly or the parliament, or even some to the governors, and even the other coalition, the Jubilee coalition, the presidency. When you heard the way one of the principals was fighting TBIM, was for him to get votes. So either way, whether you are fighting it or embracing it, it was a passcode for you to whatever you wanted to achieve. And that could only be produced by intellectuals.
Okay, our subject on the show tonight, I'll hold that TBIM thought for a moment before we get to the details of that and tialala. Our subject on the show tonight is benchmarking. We've seen a lot of hypocrisy as far as that subject is concerned, looking at, for example, the popular case of MPs actually. Let's not, before we get to the MCAs, MPs going to watch a football match in Russia, but they wouldn't attend a football match in the country. An excuse, if I can defend the MPs, naambiwa mishahara yenu inakuliwa na watu sana, so you have to find other avenues to make money. Like, hey, niaje, salo imeisha yote, but there's an opportunity to travel out of the country, you can make extra cash. Have you traveled out of the country yourself?
I think I traveled when I went to South Africa to meet Julius Malema. So I think that was a genuine case, yeah? Yeah, but it was from my own pocket, not from a parliamentary committee. And what I can talk about issues benchmarking. Matters benchmarking within reasonable limits. Benchmarking provides an opportunity to build capacity within reasonable limits. And it provides an opportunity to build capacity for local leaders and even the policy makers. One of the challenges that we faced was at the county level when the new constitution came, the promulgated constitution, the 2010 constitution. When it came into being, some of the challenges that we experienced was that certain counties had no capacity. When we look at Garissa, they had no enough doctors. Turkana had no enough teachers. Trans Nzoia, no enough engineers. But all this can only be achieved through reasonable benchmarking. We can achieve the capacity. However, in Kenya, the issue of benchmarking has been misused and has been abused by some of the leaders, both at the local level and at the national level. At the local level, when we have the MCAs traveling and spending extravagantly on certain issues that are not even important, that are not adding value to the Kenyan citizens. Such monies can be used to create employment opportunities for Kenyans. Such monies can be used to equip schools with facilities, to pay teachers, to pay doctors. Such monies can be used to equip our healthcare facilities so that we can get better medication.
You came from a very humble background. I'm so interested. Unajua, unasemanga tu cover story ya chang'aa. Unajua, ati kuonja, nini. Pesa imeku affect? Ama bado hujaingia ndani kabisa?
Life is not about money. Everybody is comfortable where they are. The person who's living in the slums, in one room, in a mabati room, in a box room, wakes up the same way the person lives in Lavington, in Runda, in Karen. How much a house do you need? How much a bed do you need? How much money do you need to make you happy? So really? To me, it's not about money. To me, it's about my peace of mind. And the Bible says, better a bowl of vegetables at peace than a bowl of beef when you are in trouble.
Tangu ushike pesa, Babu, have you ever been broke?
Kila mtu anakuwa broke.
Umewahi sota wewe?
Mimi nimewahi sota sana, hata sasa niko chini. Pesa yangu yote inaenda mashinani. But because even if I have a shilling, I would rather spend it on my constituents. Because if somebody tells me that they have a patient at the hospital, that they are sick, they need to go and seek for medical attention, and I have the money, why would I not help? If somebody tells me that they don't have the school fee, why would I not help? Why would I not give them the same opportunity? If somebody tells me that they are going to sleep hungry, and I know that I have something, why would I not give that person that money. That is why saizi niko chini.
Do you think when we talk about this is the change we want and this is the impact we, like for example, we had former Kiambu Governor Kambogo on the show and he told us categorically that a third of Kenyan resources go to waste. I believe you are privy to that information too.
Yes.
Like you know a third, like Siuju
Yes.
a third. Why do we need to be taxed more? Na tunajua hii pesa yenye tunataxiwa does not even match the money that we're losing.
Personally, I decided to oppose the 8% and it was in the public domain. And probably there are consequences because choices have consequences. And I don't fear so long as it is the people who gave me this mandate. I did not go into parliament through a back door. I was elected by my constituents who really had high hopes in me. How could I go back to Embakasi East and tell my people that this tax, you should pay 8%? I couldn't do that, and I couldn't be at peace with myself. I need not to do anything to please anybody. Although as much as I was elected using a vehicle which is a political party, I respect the party ideologies. I respect the party constitution. I respect the officials of the party. And I love from my party leader, Baba. And I always say that there are 3 things that I only fear. Only 3 things. 1 is God. 2 is Baba. 3 ni nyuki. So any other thing.
But still, we still pay
so
the
with
8%.
With that, I need to do things for the people who elected me to represent them.
Sawa. And easy stories are when we talk of people knowing where the wastage is, seme kama the benchmarking trips. What measures are there to ensure that basi now moving forward all this works? Because we talk of convictions will help curb corruption. Let's say we've seen people being dragged to court, but the cases zinaenda dance zinatoka. Are there measures maybe in parliament that can make sure we can see the end of that?
I think when it comes to measures, there's something called the checks and balances that it's put in place. All the organs of the government, they keep checking any other organ of the government. Like the parliament checks the executive. It is the parliament that approves the cabinet secretaries. The judiciary checks the parliament. Parliament keeps check through the Senate, checks of the county government. So I think because of these checks and balances, we can achieve something. But we need leaders still, because people should know why they were elected in various positions. To protect the common mwananchi, to fight for the interest of the common mwananchi, the inalienable and inherent rights as enshrined in the Kenyan Constitution of the common mwananchi.
I went through your profile and I saw someone had tweeted actually a photo of, hey, Babu Owino, I see the work you're doing. And I think you're one of the few leaders who can congratulatory messages. But before I get to what you're doing in Embakasi East, this question I've been so interested to ask you. In fact, hata nilikuwa nikuulize on a private session way when it happened. You've had your own share with brushing shoulders with the law. Walikupeleka Pangani, alafu. In fact, one of my funniest bites zako was when you had been summoned to the police station, alafu ukafika, ukasema, in fact, I've seen the media and I've changed my mind. I'm not going to the police station. But then, the first time when they arrested you, wakakupeleka huko ndani, said they tortured you. As in, you've experienced somehow, sahi hata uwezi enda Uganda, I think Museveni has banned you, ama mulisafisha hiyo?
I think there's a letter that was written by the Minister Foreign Affairs Uganda. It just arrived the other day, I was shown. It's clearly stating that I should not step my feet in Uganda. That if I step there, then I will not come back to Kenya. When I was arrested, what they did even in those police stations was very crazy. You get in a police station, you find that they've already poured water on the ground, on the floor. And then when you get in, they lock your room. You know, there's that major door, and then inside there are other doors. So they put me in one of the doors, and then they lock it. On the floor, there's water. So the only thing you can do is just to stand and squat. You can't sit and you can't sleep.
And swim.
So if you want to swim, you can swim. But all in all, it was so torturous. You can't treat a fellow human being like that. And the law, the constitution is clear that you are innocent till proven guilty. During that time, everybody, we were fighting. I was fighting for the interest of my people. And I don't regret it. And I will never regret it. And if another one comes like that again, I will still fight for my people, irrespective of the side that I will be on.
True. And was that the pouring water on the floor? Au kupelekwa ile side ya
gani?
Pliers.
Ya kufinya
au kupelekwa huko?
No, hiyo naye si kufinywa, but walinitoa, walinichapa maraundi. At some point nilikuwa naona forest, wananitoa hapo, wananiingiza. They were taking me from one police station to the other, but the conditions in the police cells were the same.
Did you compare notes with Babu Owino? Za your experiences? Huku kuna ndoo, huku hakuna?
Yeah, we did. Actually, what happened to Babu Owino also was so inhuman. These leaders should not forget that power is like a pendulum. A pendulum swings like this. At one point, it's on this side. The people who are here misses it. At the other point, it is on the other side. You'll also miss it. So the leaders who are in positions should never forget that. You will never stay there forever. If natural death was to kill us, we, the young people, we will die last, which means that the older ones will die first. So this nation will remain for us either way, whether you are dead or you are out through old age. Either way, it is us who will run this nation. So remember, suppose you are not dead by that time and we are in power, and we want you to account for what you did during your time, and that time you are even 90 years. What do you think we should do to you? You should ask yourself as a leader. So
that's a very
leaders should not think that you will stay in these positions forever. These positions are meant for you to serve people, not to oppress people. And I always say that in the end, God will punish the oppressors and the oppressed equally. The oppressors shall be punished for oppression, while the oppressed shall be punished heavily and double for accepting oppression. Therefore, you should note, whenever you are being oppressed, do not accept oppression. Fight it head on.
Thank you. Thank you. Before Babu signs out on this camera, I would like to express that some of the views expressed on this program are those of Babu, like that of revenging when people get old. So old people be calm.
I didn't say that I'm going to revenge.
Possibility.
I didn't say that I'm going to revenge, and I don't want to think about it. I'm a very forgiving person. In fact, even before you do wrong to me, I shall have already forgiven you. So I was just saying that when you are in a position of power, think about that person that you are trying to oppress. What if he comes to power? If he has bad heart, he will revenge. If you have a good heart like mine, I will not revenge. I will pray for you and forgive you.
Hi, sawa. On this camera, ongelesha watu wa Embakasi East. Na Embakasi East, first of all, address your Embakasi East and then finish with the haters before we can sign out.
Thank you very much. The people of Embakasi East constituency, I will not tire from thanking you so much for giving me this opportunity to serve you as your member of parliament in Embakasi East Republic. And I believe that as Babu Owino, I'm going to deliver. I'm going to work for you. I've been working. I'm going to tirelessly work for you. By the end of my 5 years, it is you who will judge my work. But within my means, I will work for you. And for my haters, I will kill you with love.
That's it for the weekend edition. See you next week. My name is Dr. Kingori.